The morning sun had barely touched the breakfast room when Lady Margaret's sharp voice cut through the air. "Look at the state of you, Rosalind. Your hair is a disaster." Rosalind Pemberton kept her eyes on her plate. Her hands stayed still in her lap. She had learned not to touch her hair when her stepmother criticized it. That only made things worse. "I do not know why we bother feeding you," Lady Margaret continued. She dabbed her mouth with a linen napkin. "The expense of keeping you here grows tiresome." Across the table, Rosalind's stepsister, Lavinia, laughed. The sound was like glass breaking. "Perhaps she could earn her keep by scrubbing floors," Lavinia said. She examined her perfect fingernails. "She is hardly fit for anything else." Rosalind swallowed hard. A piece of dry toast stuck in her throat. She was 24 years old. In society's eyes, she was a spinster, an embarrassment, a burden on her father's household. Her father had died 2 years ago. He left everything to his second wife. Rosalind had nowhere else to go. "The Duke of Thornwood is hosting a ball next week," Lady Margaret said. Her eyes gleamed with calculation. "Lavinia shall wear the blue silk. We must find her a husband this season." "What about me?" Rosalind's voice came out smaller than she intended. Lady Margaret's laugh was cold. "You? My dear girl, you had your chance. 3 seasons you had. No one wanted you then. No one will want you now." The words landed like stones in Rosalind's chest. She remembered those seasons. The whispers behind fans. The way men's eyes slid past her. The dance cards that stayed empty while other girls filled theirs. "You are too plain," Lady Margaret said. She said it like she was discussing the weather. "Too old, too quiet. You have no charm, no grace. Your father spoiled you with all those books. He made you unmarriageable." Rosalind stood from the table. Her legs felt weak. "May I be excused?" "Go." Lady Margaret waved her hand. "You are giving me a headache just looking at you." Rosalind walked from the room. Her back stayed straight until she reached the stairs. Then she ran. She locked herself in her small bedroom. It was tucked in the back of the house, the room that used to belong to a lady's maid. Lady Margaret had moved her here after her father died. Rosalind sat on the narrow bed. She pressed her hands against her eyes. She would not cry. Crying changed nothing. A knock came at the door. Soft, hesitant. "Miss Rosalind?" It was Betsy, the youngest housemaid. "I brought you tea." Rosalind opened the door. Betsy's kind face greeted her. "You shouldn't," Rosalind said. "If Lady Margaret finds out, she won't." Betsy slipped inside. She set the tea tray on the small table. "Mrs. Cooper sent me. She says you need to keep your strength up." Mrs. Cooper was the cook. She had worked for Rosalind's father since before Rosalind was born. She was one of the few servants who still showed Rosalind kindness. "Thank you," Rosalind whispered. Betsy touched her hand. "Don't listen to them, miss. You're worth 10 of that Lavinia." After Betsy left, Rosalind sat by the window. She sipped her tea and looked out at the gardens. They were overgrown now. Lady Margaret refused to spend money on gardeners. Rosalind remembered when her mother was alive. The gardens had been beautiful then, full of roses and lavender. Her mother had taught her the names of every plant. That was before the fever took her, before her father remarried, before everything changed. A carriage appeared on the drive. It was black and magnificent. 4 horses pulled it. The crest on the door caught the sunlight. Rosalind recognized that crest. Everyone in England knew it. The Duke of Thornwood had come to call. Miles Ashcroft, the Duke of Thornwood, did not want to be here. He sat in the Pemberton drawing room, and wished he was anywhere else. Lady Margaret smiled at him. The smile did not reach her eyes. "Your Grace, how wonderful to see you." Her daughter sat beside her. Lavinia Pemberton wore a dress that showed too much skin for a morning call. She batted her eyelashes at him. Miles had seen 100 women like her. Beautiful on the outside, empty on the inside. "I have come to discuss a matter of business," Miles said. He kept his voice neutral. "It concerns your stepdaughter." Lady Margaret's smile froze. "Rosalind?" "Yes." Miles adjusted his gloves. "I understand she is unmarried." Lavinia's mouth fell open. Lady Margaret looked like she had been struck. "Your Grace," Lady Margaret said slowly, "surely you are not suggesting—" "I am in need of a wife," Miles interrupted. He had practiced this speech. "Miss Rosalind Pemberton is of good family. She is of age. I propose a marriage between us." The room went silent. A clock ticked on the mantel. Lady Margaret recovered first. "Your Grace, I must be honest with you. Rosalind is not what you think. She is plain. She is awkward. She has no social graces." "I did not ask for your opinion of her," Miles said. His voice went cold. "I asked for her hand in marriage." "But why?" Lavinia burst out. "I am younger. I am prettier. I would make a much better duchess." Miles looked at her. His gaze was steady and unmoved. "I have made my choice." The truth was more complicated. Miles had his reasons he would not share with these women. "Very well," Lady Margaret said. She saw opportunity where others saw confusion. "The dowry will need to be discussed." "There will be no dowry," Miles said. "I will provide a settlement for Miss Pemberton, a generous one. In return, I expect the marriage to take place within the month." Lady Margaret's eyes went wide. She saw the fortune in front of her. "I will need to speak with Rosalind." "Please do," Miles stood. "I will call again tomorrow for her answer." He left the house without looking back. His carriage carried him away from the Pemberton estate. Inside the carriage, Miles closed his eyes. His head ached. It had ached for months now, ever since his mother died. She had been his last connection to warmth, to love, to anything real in his cold, empty world. His mother had made one final request before she died. She had begged him to marry, to find companionship, to not spend his life alone as she had after his father died. Miles had promised, but he could not bear the thought of a society marriage, of a wife who wanted his title and his money, who would fill his house with false laughter and empty words. Then, he had seen Rosalind Pemberton at a charity event 3 months ago. She had been serving tea to the poor families who came for help. Her stepmother had forced her to do it, a humiliation meant to shame her. But Rosalind had not looked ashamed. She had smiled at an old woman. She had crouched down to speak to a child. She had moved with quiet grace and genuine kindness. Miles had watched her for an hour. He had been drawn to something in her, a gentleness, a strength hidden beneath a quiet surface. He had made inquiries. He learned about her situation, about her cruel stepmother, about how she was treated as less than a servant in her own home. He had watched her at other events after that, always from a distance. He had seen how she was ignored, how she faded into corners, how no one saw what he saw. Her kindness, her intelligence, the way her eyes lit up when she thought no one was looking. He had noticed other things too, small things. The way she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear when she was nervous. The way she always helped others, even when they did not thank her. And her hair. It smelled of lavender and something sweet. He had stood near her once, just once, close enough to notice. He was going to marry her. He would give her safety, protection. freedom from the people who made her life miserable. It was a practical arrangement, nothing more, or so he told himself. Rosalind stood in the drawing room. Lady Margaret had summoned her immediately after the Duke left. "You are getting married," Lady Margaret announced. Rosalind felt the floor tilt beneath her feet. "What?" "The Duke of Thornwood has asked for your hand," Lady Margaret's voice was bitter. "I cannot imagine why, but he has made a generous offer. We have accepted on your behalf." Rosalind sank into a chair. Her mind raced. "I don't understand." "There is nothing to understand," Lavinia said. She was crying angry tears. "You are stealing what should be mine." "I am stealing nothing," Rosalind said. "I did not ask for this." "You will marry him," Lady Margaret said. It was not a suggestion. "You will marry him in 3 weeks. You should be grateful. No one else would have you." Rosalind's hands shook. Marriage to a duke. It was impossible. It made no sense. "Why would he want me?" she whispered. "Who knows?" Lady Margaret shrugged. "Perhaps he is going blind. Perhaps he is mad. It does not matter. You will not ruin this opportunity with your foolishness." That night, Rosalind could not sleep. She kept thinking about the Duke. She had seen him from a distance at various events. He was tall, handsome in a cold, remote way. His eyes were gray like storm clouds. He never smiled. He moved through society like a man made of ice, and now he wanted to marry her. Why? The next morning he came to call again. Lady Margaret shoved Rosalind into the drawing room with him. "I will leave you two alone to become acquainted," Lady Margaret said. She ignored all rules of propriety. She closed the door behind her. Rosalind stood by the window. She could not look at him. "Miss Pemberton," the Duke said. His voice was deep. "Please, sit." She sat. Her hands twisted in her lap. He sat across from her. The distance between them felt enormous. "I know this is unexpected," he said. "I want you to understand that I mean you no harm." Rosalind finally looked at him. His face was serious. His gray eyes studied her. "Why me?" she asked. The question burst out of her. "I do not understand." "You are kind," he said simply. "I have seen you with others. You treat servants with respect. You help those in need. You do not put on false airs. You have been watching me." "I have noticed you." He paused. "I need a wife. I want one who is genuine, who is good. I believe you are both of those things." Rosalind did not know what to say. No one had ever called her good before. Not like this. "What do you expect from me?" she asked. "If I agree to this marriage?" "I expect you to be my duchess," he said, "to manage my household, to appear at my side at social functions. Beyond that, I will make no demands on you." His meaning was clear. This would not be a real marriage, not in the most intimate sense. "You will have your own rooms," he continued, "your own life. I will not interfere with your happiness. I ask only that you maintain the dignity of the position." "And if I refuse?" Rosalind asked. She needed to know. "Then I will leave," he said. "But I think your life here is not a happy one. I am offering you a way out." He was right. Rosalind thought about another year in this house, another year of Lady Margaret's cruelty, of being treated like a burden, of growing old in a back bedroom with no hope of anything better. "I accept," she said quietly. Something flickered in his eyes. Relief, perhaps. "Thank you." He stood to leave. At the door, he turned back. "Your hair smells of lavender," he said. The words came out awkward. "I noticed it once, at a charity event. It is pleasant." Then he was gone. Rosalind sat alone in the drawing room. Her heart pounded. He had noticed her hair. He had been watching her for months. For the first time in years, something like hope stirred in her chest. The wedding took place 3 weeks later. It was a small ceremony in the local church. Lady Margaret invited everyone she could think of. She wanted to show off her stepdaughter's sudden fortune. Rosalind wore a simple cream gown. Lady Margaret had refused to spend money on anything elaborate. But Mrs. Cooper and Betsy had helped her. They added lace to the sleeves. They wove flowers into her hair. "You look beautiful, miss," Betsy whispered. Rosalind did not feel beautiful. She felt terrified. The Duke waited for her at the altar. He wore black. His face was unreadable. The ceremony passed in a blur. Rosalind repeated words she barely heard. The Duke's voice was steady when he said his vows. Then it was over. She was a duchess. The thought seemed impossible. The wedding breakfast was torture. Lady Margaret smiled and laughed. She told everyone how she had always known Rosalind would do well, how she had raised her like her own daughter. The lies made Rosalind sick, but she said nothing. She sat beside her new husband and let the charade continue. Finally, it was time to leave. The Duke's carriage waited outside. Lady Margaret embraced her. It was the first time she had touched Rosalind with anything resembling affection. "Do not embarrass us," she hissed in Rosalind's ear. Then Rosalind was in the carriage. The Duke sat across from her. The door closed. They pulled away from the house. Rosalind watched it disappear behind them. She felt nothing. No sadness. No relief. Just numbness. "Are you well?" the Duke asked. "Yes, Your Grace," she said. "Miles," he said. "When we are alone, you may call me Miles." She nodded. She could not imagine being so familiar with him. The ride to his estate took 2 hours. Rosalind stared out the window. Miles did not try to make conversation. She was grateful for that. When they arrived, Rosalind's breath caught. The house was enormous. 3 stories of gray stone, windows that glittered in the afternoon sun, gardens that stretched as far as she could see. "Welcome to Thornwood Hall," Miles said. A line of servants waited to greet them. The butler stepped forward. He was an older man with kind eyes. Your Grace," he bowed to them both. "Welcome home. I am Jameson. I have served the Thornwood family for 30 years. If you need anything, you have only to ask." "Thank you," Rosalind whispered. A woman in a housekeeper's dress curtsied. "I am Mrs. Blackwood. I oversee the household staff. I have prepared the Duchess's rooms according to His Grace's instructions." Miles turned to Rosalind. "Would you like to see your chambers?" She nodded. She followed Mrs. Blackwood into the house. The interior was beautiful. High ceilings, paintings on every wall, furniture that looked older than her grandmother. Mrs. Blackwood led her up a grand staircase. Down a hall. She opened a door. "The Duchess's suite," she said. Rosalind walked inside. She stopped in the doorway. She could not move. The rooms were enormous. A sitting room with a fireplace and comfortable chairs. A bedroom with a 4-poster bed draped in blue silk. A dressing room with wardrobes and a full-length mirror. Windows looked out over the gardens. Sunlight poured across thick carpets. "I hope everything is to your liking," Mrs. Blackwood said. "If you need anything changed—" "It's perfect," Rosalind said. Her voice broke. "It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." Mrs. Blackwood smiled. His Grace was very specific about preparing these rooms. He wanted you to be comfortable. After the housekeeper left, Rosalind sank into a chair by the window. She looked out at the gardens, at the life she could not quite believe was hers now. A knock came at the door. It was Miles. "May I come in?" he asked. "Of course." He entered but stayed near the door. "I want to make sure you have everything you need." "I do. Thank you." "There is a door between our chambers," he said. He pointed to a door she had not noticed. "It will remain locked. You have your privacy. I give you my word." Rosalind nodded. She felt a strange mix of relief and something else, something she could not name. "I have business to attend to," Miles said. "Dinner is at 8. You are welcome to join me, or if you prefer to dine in your rooms." "I will join you," Rosalind said. She did not want to hide away. Not yet. "Good." He almost smiled. Almost. "I will see you then." He left. Rosalind sat in her beautiful rooms and tried to understand what had happened to her life. Dinner was served in a small dining room, not the enormous formal hall Rosalind had glimpsed earlier. This room was more intimate. A table that sat only 6, a fire in the hearth. Miles stood when she entered. He pulled out her chair himself. They ate in silence at first. The food was better than anything Rosalind had tasted in years. Roasted chicken, fresh vegetables, bread that was still warm. "How are you finding your rooms?" Miles asked. "They are wonderful," Rosalind said. "Too wonderful. I keep thinking I will wake up and find this is all a dream." "It is not a dream," Miles said. "This is your home now." Rosalind set down her fork. "May I ask you something?" "Of course." "Why did you really choose me? Please. I need to understand." Miles was quiet for a long moment. He turned his wineglass in his hands. "My mother died 6 months ago," he said finally. "Before she died, she made me promise to marry, to not live alone as she did after my father died." "I am sorry for your loss," Rosalind said softly. "I did not want a society marriage," Miles continued. "I did not want a wife who saw only my title, who would fill my house with meaningless noise and false friends." He looked at her then, really looked at her. "I saw you at that charity event," he said. "The way you treated people, the way you saw them as human beings, not as beneath you. There was something real in you, something genuine. It drew me to you." "So this is a practical arrangement," Rosalind said. She felt something sink in her chest. "A marriage of convenience." "Yes," Miles said. "I hope that is acceptable to you." "Of course," Rosalind said. She did not know why she felt disappointed. They finished dinner in silence, but it was not an uncomfortable silence. It was the silence of two people who were both very lonely, who were trying to figure out how to exist in the same space. After dinner, Miles walked her to her rooms. "Good night," he said. "I hope you sleep well." "Good night," Rosalind said. She closed the door. She leaned against it. She pressed her hand to her heart. This was her life now. This beautiful house. This remote, mysterious man. This strange new existence. She did not know if she was happy. But for the first time in a very long time, she was not miserable. That was something. The first week at Thornwood Hall passed in a blur. Rosalind spent her days exploring the house. She discovered a library that made her heart sing. Thousands of books lined the walls. She could spend years reading them all. She walked through the gardens. A gardener named Thomas tended them. He was an old man with rough hands and a warm smile. "The late Duchess loved these gardens," he told Rosalind. "She planted most of these roses herself." "She had excellent taste," Rosalind said. She touched a white rose. It was perfect. "His Grace still comes out here sometimes," Thomas said. "I find him standing by the rose garden. Just standing. Not saying a word." Rosalind thought about that. About Miles standing alone among his mother's roses, grieving in silence. She saw him only at dinner. He was polite, distant. He asked about her day. He told her a little about the estate business. But there was a wall between them. A wall she did not know how to cross. One morning, Rosalind came down to breakfast early. She found Miles already there. He sat at the table, reading a newspaper. He looked different. His hair was slightly mussed. His cravat was not perfectly tied. He looked more human somehow. "Good morning," she said. He stood immediately. "Good morning. I did not expect you so early." "I could not sleep," she admitted. "The bed is too comfortable. I keep waking up surprised to find myself in it." The corner of his mouth twitched, almost a smile. "I am glad you find it comfortable." They sat together. A servant brought tea and toast. "What are your plans for the day?" Miles asked. "I thought I might organize the library," Rosalind said. "If that is acceptable. Some of the books seem to be out of order." Miles set down his newspaper. "You noticed that?" "I notice things about books," Rosalind said. She felt her cheeks warm. "It is a habit. My father used to say I loved books more than people." "There is nothing wrong with that," Miles said. "Books are often better than people." Rosalind looked at him in surprise. It was the first personal opinion he had shared with her. "Did you read much?" she asked. "As a child?" "Yes," Miles said. "I spent most of my childhood in the library. My father was not a warm man. Books were safer than people." There was something in his voice, a loneliness that matched her own. "What do you read now?" Rosalind asked. They talked about books for the next hour. Miles had read everything: philosophy, history, poetry. He had opinions on all of it. Rosalind found herself arguing with him about Lord Byron. She forgot to be nervous. She forgot to watch her words. When she realized she had been talking for 20 minutes without stopping, she clamped her mouth shut. "I am sorry," she said. "I am talking too much." "No," Miles said. His eyes were bright. "Do not apologize. I am enjoying this conversation more than I have enjoyed anything in months." Something warm spread through Rosalind's chest. "Really?" "Really," Miles said. "Please, tell me more about your theory on Byron's use of nature imagery." They talked until the servants came to clear breakfast. Miles looked reluctant to leave. "I have estate business," he said, "but perhaps we could continue this conversation at dinner." "I would like that," Rosalind said. After he left, Rosalind sat alone in the breakfast room. She felt different, lighter somehow. For the first time since the wedding, she felt like this might become more than just a practical arrangement. 2 weeks passed. Rosalind and Miles fell into a routine. They had breakfast together. They walked in the gardens before dinner. They talked about books and estate matters, and nothing at all. Rosalind learned things about him. He liked his tea very hot. He hated riding in the rain. He had a scar on his left hand from a childhood accident involving a very adventurous cat. He laughed when she made jokes, quiet laughs that seemed to surprise him. She learned that he was not cold at all. He was wounded. He had built walls around himself to keep the pain out. Rosalind understood that. She had built walls too. One evening, they walked to the rose garden after dinner. The sun was setting. The roses glowed pink and gold in the fading light. "Your mother had beautiful taste," Rosalind said. Miles touched a yellow rose. "She spent hours out here, even when she was ill. She said the roses gave her peace." "Tell me about her," Rosalind said gently. Miles was quiet for a long time. Rosalind thought he would not answer. Then he began to speak. "She was kind, like you. She saw the good in people, even when they did not deserve it." He told her about his childhood, about how his mother had protected him from his father's coldness, about how she had read to him every night, about how she had died slowly, painfully, while he could do nothing but watch. "I miss her every day," Miles said. His voice was rough. "The house feels empty without her." Rosalind did something without thinking. She reached out and took his hand. Miles looked down at their joined hands. He did not pull away. "I am sorry," Rosalind whispered. "I am so sorry you lost her." "She would have liked you," Miles said. "She would have said I was lucky to find you." Their eyes met. Something passed between them, something that made Rosalind's heart beat faster. Miles lifted their joined hands. He pressed a kiss to her knuckles. It was a courtly gesture, but the look in his eyes was not courtly at all. "Thank you," he said, "for listening." They walked back to the house hand in hand. Neither of them mentioned it, but neither of them let go until they reached Rosalind's door. That night, Rosalind could not sleep. She kept feeling the warmth of Miles's hand in hers, the gentle pressure of his lips on her skin. She was falling in love with her husband. It was foolish. It was dangerous. But she could not stop it. The next morning, Rosalind came down to breakfast with her hair still slightly damp from washing. She had used her favorite lavender soap. The scent clung to her hair and skin. Miles was already at the table. When she entered, he looked up, his eyes fixed on her. She sat down. She reached for the teapot. Miles leaned forward slightly. His gaze never left her. "Your hair smells different today," he said. His voice was low, intimate. "You used lavender soap." Rosalind froze. Heat flooded her cheeks. "Yes. How did you—" "I have been noticing," Miles said, "for months, even before we married. The way your hair smells, the way you tuck it behind your ear when you are nervous, the way it catches the light." Rosalind's heart pounded. "You have been watching me." "Yes," Miles said simply. "I could not stop watching you. Every time I saw you, I wanted to know more. I wanted to understand what made you different from everyone else." He stood. He walked around the table. He stopped beside her chair. "May I?" he asked. He gestured to her hair. Rosalind nodded. She could not speak. Miles lifted a strand of her hair. He brought it close to his face. He breathed in. "Lavender," he said softly, "and something sweeter. Something that is just you." Rosalind's breath caught. No one had ever touched her like this, like she was something precious. "Miles," she whispered. He cupped her cheek. His thumb brushed her skin. "I know I said this would be a practical marriage, but I find myself wanting more, much more." "What do you want?" Rosalind asked. "You," Miles said. "All of you. Your smiles, your thoughts, your heart. If you will give it to me." Rosalind stood. She was trembling. "I think I have been giving it to you since the day we met." Miles made a sound low in his throat. He pulled her close. His arms wrapped around her. They stood like that for a long moment, holding each other, breathing together. "I was so afraid," Rosalind whispered against his chest. "Afraid that you would never want me, that I would spend my life loving you from a distance." Miles pulled back. He looked at her with wonder in his eyes. "You love me?" "Yes," Rosalind said. "I love you." Miles kissed her forehead, her cheeks, the tip of her nose. "I have been half in love with you since I saw you at that charity event. I am completely in love with you now." Then he kissed her mouth. It was gentle at first, then deeper. Rosalind melted into him. She had never been kissed before. She had never known it could feel like this. Like coming home. Like being found. When they finally broke apart, Miles rested his forehead against hers. "No more separate rooms," he said. "No more distance. I want you with me, always." "Yes," Rosalind said. "Yes." They spent the rest of the morning in each other's arms, talking, kissing, making promises. The practical marriage had become something else entirely, something real and warm and full of love. Rosalind had never been happier. For 3 weeks, Rosalind lived in bliss. She and Miles were inseparable. They spent their days together. They spent their nights together. The door between their rooms stayed open. Miles was tender with her, patient. He made her feel beautiful, cherished, wanted. Rosalind blossomed under his love. She stopped looking down when she walked. She stopped apologizing for existing. She learned what it meant to be happy. Then, Lady Margaret arrived. She came without warning. Her carriage pulled up to Thornwood Hall on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Rosalind was in the library when Jameson announced her. Her blood turned to ice. "Tell her I am not at home," Rosalind said. "I am afraid she has already seen you through the window, Your Grace," Jameson said. He looked apologetic. Rosalind had no choice. She went to the drawing room. Lady Margaret waited there. Lavinia stood beside her. "Rosalind," Lady Margaret said. She did not curtsy. She did not show any respect. "How grand you have become." "What do you want?" Rosalind asked. She kept her voice steady. "Is that any way to greet your family?" Lady Margaret's smile was cold. "We have come to see how you are settling in." "I am settled. Thank you for your concern. Now please leave." "Not so fast," Lady Margaret said. "We have traveled a long way. Surely you can offer us tea." Rosalind had no choice. She rang for tea. She sat across from her stepmother and stepsister. "This is a beautiful house," Lavinia said. She looked around with envy in her eyes. "Much too beautiful for you." "Lavinia," Lady Margaret said, but her tone was fond, not scolding. The tea came. They drank in tense silence. "I have heard interesting gossip," Lady Margaret said finally. "They say the Duke is quite taken with you, that he dotes on you, that he has turned down every social invitation to stay home with his little mouse of a wife." Rosalind said nothing. She would not discuss her marriage with these women. "It will not last," Lady Margaret continued. "Men like him grow bored easily. Soon he will see what I have always seen, that you are nothing special, nothing at all." "Get out," Rosalind said. Her voice shook. "Get out of my house." "Your house?" Lady Margaret laughed. "My dear girl, this will never be your house. You are playing dress-up. You are a poor girl in a duchess's clothes. Everyone knows it. Soon your husband will know it too." The words hit their mark. All of Rosalind's old insecurities came flooding back. She was nothing. She was worthless. How could Miles love her? How could anyone love her? "Rosalind?" Miles's voice came from the doorway. He stood there. His face was thunderous. He had heard everything. "I believe my wife asked you to leave," Miles said. His voice was deadly quiet. Lady Margaret stood. She smoothed her skirts. "Your Grace, how lovely to see you." "I did not give you permission to visit," Miles said. "You are not welcome here. Leave now, or I will have you removed." "We are family," Lady Margaret protested. "You are nothing," Miles said. "You have treated Rosalind with cruelty and contempt. You made her life a misery. You will never set foot in this house again. Do I make myself clear?" Lady Margaret's face went red, but she knew she was beaten. She and Lavinia left without another word. When they were gone, Miles turned to Rosalind. She was shaking. Tears ran down her face. "She is right," Rosalind whispered. "I am nothing. I am playing at being a duchess. Eventually you will see it. You will regret marrying me." Miles crossed the room in 3 strides. He pulled her into his arms. "No," he said fiercely. "No. She is wrong. She has always been wrong. You are everything. You are kind and intelligent and brave. You are the best thing that ever happened to me." "How can you be sure?" Rosalind sobbed. "How can you be sure you will not stop loving me?" Miles cupped her face in his hands. He made her look at him. "I have been watching you for months," he said. "I saw who you truly are. I saw your strength, your goodness. I chose you, not because you were convenient, not because I was settling, but because you are extraordinary." "I do not feel extraordinary," Rosalind whispered. "Then let me show you," Miles said. "Every day, let me show you how I see you." He kissed her, soft and sweet and full of promise, but the damage was done. Lady Margaret's words had planted seeds of doubt. Rosalind could not shake them. Over the next few days, Rosalind withdrew. She could not help it. The old fears had come back. They whispered in her ear at night. Miles noticed. Of course he noticed. "Talk to me," he said one evening. "Please, let me help." "I do not know how," Rosalind said. "I do not know how to believe I am worthy of you." "You are worthy of so much more than me," Miles said. "I am the lucky one. Do you not see that?" But Rosalind could not see it. The years of abuse had left scars, scars that did not heal quickly. A letter arrived. It was from Lady Margaret. She had written to several society matrons. She had spread gossip about Rosalind, about how she had trapped the Duke, about how the marriage was a shame. Miles burned the letter. But Rosalind knew the damage was done. Soon, all of London would be talking. "I have ruined you," Rosalind said. "Your reputation will suffer because of me." "I do not care about my reputation," Miles said. "I care about you." But Rosalind spiraled deeper into despair. She stopped eating. She stopped sleeping. She convinced herself that Miles would eventually see the truth, that he would leave her. One night she could not bear it anymore. She packed a bag. She wrote Miles a letter. She told him he deserved better, that she was setting him free. She crept down the stairs. She headed for the servants' entrance. She would go back to the cottage where she grew up. She would disappear. She would let Miles find a proper duchess. She was at the door when a voice stopped her. "Rosalind." It was Miles. He stood at the top of the stairs. His hair was mussed. He wore only his shirt sleeves. He looked devastated. "Do not leave," he said. "Please, do not leave me." Rosalind dropped her bag. She started to cry, great wrenching sobs that shook her whole body. Miles ran down the stairs. He caught her before she fell. He held her while she broke apart. "I cannot be who you need me to be," Rosalind sobbed. "You already are," Miles said. "You are exactly who I need, who I want, who I love with my entire soul." "But society—" "Damn society," Miles said. "Damn them all. If they cannot see your worth, that is their failing, not yours." He carried her back upstairs. He held her all night. He whispered words of love and reassurance until she finally fell asleep. But Rosalind knew this was not over. The doubt still lived inside her, like a cancer eating away at her happiness. Something had to change. She had to find a way to believe in herself, to believe in their love. But she did not know how. The next morning, Rosalind woke in Miles's arms. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Her head ached. Miles was already awake. He watched her with such tenderness that her heart hurt. "I am sorry," she whispered. "You have nothing to apologize for," Miles said. "But we need to talk." They went down to breakfast. Miles held her hand the entire time. "I have been thinking," Miles said, "about what your stepmother said, about society gossip, about your fears." "Miles, let me finish," he said gently. "I think the problem is that you still see yourself through their eyes, through the eyes of people who hurt you. You cannot see yourself as I see you." Rosalind looked down at her plate. He was right. "I want to show you something," Miles said. "Will you trust me?" "Always," Rosalind said. After breakfast, Miles took her to his study. He pulled out a leather journal. He handed it to her. "What is this?" Rosalind asked. "Open it," Miles said. Rosalind opened the journal. Her breath caught. The pages were filled with Miles's handwriting, dates, observations, sketches. "I started keeping this 3 months before I proposed," Miles said. "Every time I saw you, I wrote about it." Rosalind read the entries. Her hands shook. September 12th. Saw Miss Pemberton at the charity event. She smiled at an old woman who had no teeth. She made the woman feel beautiful. I could not look away. October 3rd. Watched her in the library at Lord Ashton's ball. Everyone else was dancing. She sat alone with a book. She looked peaceful, content. I wanted to know what she was reading. November 20th. Her stepmother humiliated her in public today, called her a burden. Miss Pemberton did not cry. She kept her head high. She is so much stronger than she knows. Page after page, dozens of entries, all about her, about the things Miles had noticed, about the ways she had touched his heart without knowing it. Tears streamed down Rosalind's face. "You really saw me," she whispered. "I have always seen you," Miles said. "From the first moment. I saw a woman who was kind despite cruelty, strong despite abuse, beautiful despite being told she was not." He knelt in front of her. He took her hands in his. "You are not playing at being a duchess," Miles said. "You are the best duchess Thornwood Hall has ever known. The servants adore you. The tenants respect you. You have brought life back to this house. To me." "I am afraid," Rosalind admitted. "Afraid that I will wake up and this will all be gone." "Then I will spend every day of our lives proving it is real," Miles said. "I will show you, over and over until you believe it." He pulled her into his arms. Rosalind clung to him. She felt something shift inside her. The doubt was still there, but it was quieter now. "There is something else," Miles said. "I have arranged a ball, here, next week. I am going to invite everyone, all of society, your stepmother, everyone who ever looked down on you." "Miles, no," Rosalind said. Panic seized her. "I cannot face them." "You can," Miles said, "because I will be beside you, because you are strong enough, and because I want everyone to see what I see, a duchess who is worthy of every ounce of respect she receives." Rosalind wanted to refuse, but she saw the determination in Miles's eyes. He was doing this for her, to help her heal. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." The next week was a whirlwind. Preparations for the ball consumed the household. Rosalind threw herself into the work. She chose flowers. She planned the menu. She made decisions with confidence she did not quite feel. Mrs. Blackwood watched her with approval. "You are a natural, Your Grace." The night of the ball arrived. Rosalind stood in her dressing room. Her maid had helped her into a gown of deep emerald silk. It was the most beautiful dress she had ever worn. She looked at herself in the mirror. For the first time in her life, she saw what Miles saw. A woman who was not ugly, not worthless, not a burden. She was beautiful, in her own quiet way. Miles came to escort her downstairs. He stopped in the doorway, his eyes widened. "Rosalind," he breathed, "you are stunning." "You do not have to say that," Rosalind said, but she smiled. "I mean it," Miles said. He crossed to her. He took her hands. "You take my breath away." They walked downstairs together. The guests were already arriving. Rosalind saw familiar faces. Society matrons who had ignored her. Men who had never asked her to dance. And yes, Lady Margaret and Lavinia. Her stepmother's face went white when she saw Rosalind in her duchess's finery. Miles kept Rosalind close. He introduced her to everyone. He made it clear that she was cherished, adored, respected. The ball began. Miles led Rosalind onto the floor for the first dance. She had been so afraid she would stumble, but Miles held her steady. "Just look at me," he whispered. "Forget everyone else. It is just us." They danced. The music swelled. Rosalind felt like she was floating. When the dance ended, Miles did not let her go. He turned to the assembled crowd. "If I may have your attention," he said. His voice carried across the ballroom. Everyone fell silent. "I know there has been gossip," Miles said, "about my marriage, about my wife. I want to address that gossip now." Rosalind's heart pounded. What was he doing? "There are those who say I married beneath me," Miles continued, "that my Duchess is not worthy of her position. I want to correct that misconception." He turned to Rosalind. He took both her hands. His eyes blazed with love. "I married the most remarkable woman I have ever known," Miles said. "A woman who has more kindness in her smallest finger than most people have in their entire bodies. A woman who makes me want to be better, who makes me want to deserve her love." Gasps rippled through the crowd. This was not done. Dukes did not make public declarations of love. "My wife has been told all her life that she is nothing," Miles said. His voice grew fierce. "She has been abused and belittled and treated as less than human. And despite all of that, she remains gentle, generous, good." He raised Rosalind's hand to his lips. He kissed it. His eyes never left hers. "You are everything to me," Miles said. "My Duchess, my wife, my love. And anyone who cannot see your worth is not welcome in my home or my life." The ballroom erupted. Some people clapped, some whispered. Lady Margaret looked like she wanted to sink through the floor. But Rosalind did not care about any of them. She only saw Miles, her husband, her love. "Thank you," she whispered. Tears streamed down her face. Miles kissed her, right there in front of everyone. A kiss that was tender and fierce and full of promise. When they broke apart, the ballroom was cheering. Even the society matrons who had come to judge were smiling. Rosalind had been claimed, publicly, irrevocably, as the Duchess of Thornwood, as Miles's beloved wife. The rest of the ball passed in a daze. People came to congratulate them, to apologize for past slights. Even Lady Margaret approached. She tried to pretend she had always supported the match. Miles cut her off coldly. "You will leave now, and you will never contact my wife again." Lady Margaret left, defeated, humiliated. Rosalind felt no satisfaction, only relief that it was over. At the end of the night, Miles and Rosalind stood on the terrace. They looked out at the gardens bathed in moonlight. "Did you mean it?" Rosalind asked. "Everything you said?" "Every word," Miles said. "I love you, Rosalind. I will love you until my last breath." "I love you too," Rosalind said. "You saved me. You gave me a life I never dreamed possible." "No," Miles said. He turned her to face him. "You saved me. You brought warmth back to this cold house, light back to my dark life. You showed me what love truly means." They kissed under the stars. Two broken people who had found each other, who had healed each other. "Your hair still smells like lavender," Miles murmured against her temple. Rosalind laughed. "You will always notice that, won't you?" "Always," Miles said. "I will notice everything about you, for the rest of our lives." 1 year later, Rosalind stood in the rose garden. Her hand rested on her swollen belly. A child grew inside her. A daughter, the doctor thought. Miles walked toward her. He smiled when he saw her. That smile that was only for her. "You should not be on your feet so much," he scolded gently. I wanted to see the roses, Rosalind said. They remind me of your mother. I want to tell our daughter about her grandmother. Miles wrapped his arms around her from behind. His hands covered hers on her belly. She would have loved you so much, Miles whispered. Just as I do. Rosalind leaned back against him. She thought about the girl she had been a year ago, broken, hopeless, convinced she was worthless. That girl was gone. In her place was a woman who knew her value, who had found love and happiness, who was about to become a mother. I never thanked you properly, Rosalind said, for watching me all those months, for seeing me when no one else did. You do not need to thank me, Miles said. You were impossible not to see. Impossible not to love. They stood together in the garden. The sun set over Thornwood Hall, their home, their sanctuary, the place where two lonely souls had found each other, where love had conquered cruelty, where kindness had triumphed over bitterness, where a duke and his duchess had built a life filled with joy. Rosalind's hair smelled of lavender. It always would. And Miles would always notice. He would always watch her with love in his eyes. He would always choose her, every single day, for the rest of their lives. And Rosalind would never again doubt that she was worthy of being loved, because Miles had shown her the truth. He had seen her when she was invisible. He had loved her when she thought she was unlovable. He had given her the greatest gift of all. Not wealth or position or a beautiful house. He had given her herself, her true self, strong and kind and deserving of every happiness. And together, they would build a legacy of love. For their daughter, for the generations to come. For everyone who had ever been told they were not enough. They would prove that love could heal anything, that two hearts could make each other whole. That was their story. A story that began with, "Your hair smells different today," and ended with forever. A story of watching, of waiting, of finding, of loving. And it was the most beautiful story of all.